Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Home Studio Simplified channel. This is the weekly live stream we do every single week. Up on your screen now, you should see some different sort of thumbnails here. These are from upcoming videos and videos that have been released every single Monday for the next 10 weeks. There are going to be videos released, which is part of a step-by-step course, a tutorial course on how to mix a song from start to finish. So part 1 and part 2 are already released. Part 3 is going to be released next Monday. So you'll want to subscribe to the channel, make sure that you're in the loop there. If you have not checked out the other previous 2 videos, you can always do that as well. Those are here up on the channel, and I am creating a playlist to make that a little bit easier for you to digest. So let me actually pull up the playlist now. And then that way I can get you the URL, so it'll be easier for you to find. So today's video topic is an Ask Me Anything, or an AMA as these kids call it, because they like to abbreviate everything these days. So anything you'd like to ask me, whether it's music related, life related, if you got questions about anything, hit me up and I'll see what I can help you with. If I can't help you, I'll direct you into the right place where I can get you some help, or at least
so
you can be helped.
So you think you know Wix, but do you really? First up, we've got Shake video masks. Okay. You can use different.
Anyway, yeah, so here is the link to the playlist. Like I said, every single Monday, new video released for your viewing pleasure. Right now we have the initial setup as being released, and the rough mix has been released. So part 3 that's coming up next Monday is going to be EQ and panning. This is one that you definitely don't want to miss. It's a rather lengthy one. Most of these are going to be, but you're going to get a lot out of it. So this one is over an hour long. Well, almost an hour long. So you'll definitely want to check in on that one. Like I said, that's next Monday. So definitely subscribe. Make sure that you're a part of that. You'll want to be. All right, so it looks like we have a question already populated in the chat here. He says, hey, if plugs are on the master, and he says, actually, let me put this up on the screen, and let me go to my webcam only. Here we go. Hey. Let me put it up on the screen so that way other people, if they're stopping in, they can read that. Okay. That's not it. All right, there we go. He says, if plugs are on the master, the EQ, glue, comp, etc., and stems are then required, I see no way of bouncing it out so that when recombined, they sound like the original. Been looking for a while now. So what you're asking is basically you're trying to send kind of like multi-tracks or stems. In this case, I could see where that would be stems, but you're trying to send out stems where basically when someone flies it into their DAW, or if they're going to use it in a church setting or something like that, that it's going to sound like the finished product. Correct me if I'm wrong, but that's what you're going after here. And the reason why you might want to do something like that, for those of you who are watching, is maybe you have what we call, during our worship sets, we call them tracks. So we might have a song that we're going to do, but we have tracks that's playing behind us. So maybe we don't have a trumpet player, but those tracks include the trumpet that's in the song. It can actually fill up, areas where there might be instruments that are lacking. This is a great example of how you might use this. So if your plugins are on the master, how are you wanting to do that? So the best way that you could do that would be to actually I see what you're saying, because if your plugins are on the master, so I know in Cakewalk there's a way to route out individual tracks, and it will say, actually, let me just pull up Cakewalk here real quick. I don't know if you're a Cakewalk user, but this could definitely help anyway. and I had to pick one of the biggest projects that I have, so it's going to take forever to load up. But here is Cakewalk trying to load, and I don't know if I can actually get to, no, not while it's loading. It actually might load up a little bit quicker. There we go. Okay, so like in this instance, I've got a ton of stuff here on, need to make sure I pause that. That's my project time. That's every time I open up this project, it's keeping time of it. So in this instance, what I would do is, at least in Cakewalk, like I said, I don't know that every DAW is able to do this, but I can actually go to Export, Audio, come in here, and there's different presets. So I can do entire mix, no effects, or tracks, no automation, no effects, or tracks through entire mix. So what this should be able to do is it will allow you to send out each individual track as if it was mixed through the master. And that will include the effects that are on the tracks. So essentially what you should get is you should get each track representing the finished product. And then, I think that's the best way that I would do that, at least in Cakewalk. So hopefully that makes sense. Great question. If it didn't, and it doesn't work like you're wanting it to, get back with me and maybe there's a workaround of this. I know one option might even be to inside, what I shouldn't have just closed that project. But anyway, let's open up a smaller project here. Let's just open up a blank project. So like, let's say that I am wanting a blank project is going to take that long. Wow. In this instance, what I was going to say was, which it may not even work this way either. Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good question. I'm sure there's probably a way to, so if I had to, like right off the top of my head, worst case scenario, it would be to mute all of the track except for the one you're wanting to export. Export just that one. That way it's going to go through the master bus and export it as just a track and just keep doing that over and over and over until all of the tracks are exported. That way you're guaranteed that it's going to play through the master bus. But I believe in Cakewalk, whenever you use that export feature, it does do that. The other option I was going to say, which I don't think it's actually an option now that I think about it, because I was going to say to create, insert a send and create an aux track, because the aux track can then be sent in a different way, or you could even use your patch points to patch in. But I think that it's a good question and one that definitely needs some, maybe a little bit more research on. But yeah, I could see why you would want to do that, though. That does make sense. He says, let's see. I keep losing the comments here. Okay, he says, I get that. However, when 100 tracks combine to go through the master, that is the master. If individual tracks go through the master, then recombined, all having had the master plugs on it, won't work. Okay. I wouldn't see. I see what you're saying, because they're going through the processing all at once. So therefore it's affecting the different plugins that are on the master differently, because now you would just be sending out the one instead of versus the other. In that case, you might do a solo instead of a mute. That way the tracks are still going to play in the background through the master bus, but the only track that's going to be exported sound wise is going to be the track that's soloed. But with 100 tracks, that's going to take a while. Yeah. Interesting. There's got to be a workaround whatever. There's a workaround somewhere in there. I'm just not intelligent enough to figure it out. And the crazy thing is, like with most DAWs too, you can't go from the master. Oh, wait a minute. You can send from the master to a new stereo bus. So if you wanted to get crazy, you could create an aux track from each individual track through the bus into the aux track, and then export the aux tracks only. Man, that's sounds like a lot of work is what it sounds like. The way that I do it, or have done it in the past, like with the most recent release that we just had, I wanted to export the tracks individually with the effects on them so that I would have access to the multi-tracks to use in a service if we needed to. And this is what I did, is I just exported the processed tracks just the way that I showed you earlier. And what you have is, you have the same keys, but they're processed. If that makes sense. So let's see if... Yeah. So everything that made up the song in and of itself, all of the processed tracks were exported with the processing involved, so that whenever you fly it into, your tracks player, whatever that might be, then it gives you the option then to play the track as if it sounded like it was in the mix. So hopefully that makes sense. In Logic Pro, the master track cannot send anything anywhere. Oh, that's crazy. Interesting. Okay, so make sure I'm getting back in here to the questions at hand, if there are any more. Okay, so Mute Bassist. He says, "Hey, I seen all of your videos of you reacting to Michael Jackson demos, songs, etc. I searched for it but could not find it. Have you removed them by any chance? Is it a copyright related?" Yes, they have been removed, and it was not copyright related. Basically, the channel turned into something that it wasn't supposed to be. I never intended for this to be a reaction channel. And as much as I like to bank on the fact of, that people were learning from it, and there was more people coming for the entertainment side of that than there was for the learning side of it. This channel has always been an educational channel about trying to get people to make better music. Conversely, as well, the more that I thought about it, it actually goes against a lot of my core values, just displaying that kind of work as well. That's no reflection upon any one artist that I represented there. It's just secular music as a whole, which I don't listen to outside of work whenever I have to listen to it. And so for me, it was honestly, it's part of a personal conviction that I have about secular music and not listening to it due to the fact that I was in a lot of bands and stuff whenever I was in the world, and it drugged me down the wrong path. And so it would be kind of like, an alcoholic that was, delivered from alcoholism. And then for the sake of teaching people not to drink alcohol, he goes and holds a meeting at a bar. That's kind of like the best way to put it. It just didn't feel right. It was kind of icky. And after a while, it turned into something that it wasn't supposed to be. This channel turned into a reaction channel, and that's not what it was ever intended to be. As much fun as we had doing it, I'm not going to lie and say that it wasn't fun. I had a lot of fun, learned a lot about that music, but I just had to sort of check myself, go back to my core values, go back to my roots, and realize that's not me. So yes, I understand that. And there was a lot of people that did get a lot of use out of it. So, I apologize for those of you who, you got something out of that and they're gone now. There are other channels that do that. I wasn't the only one that's doing it. In fact, the channel that used to be called The Recording Revolution got hijacked. Not saying that it was hijacked, unscrupulously, but there's an individual that runs that channel now pretty much that was good friends with Graham Cochran. And Graham Cochran, if you haven't noticed now, he's just a business guru, wants nothing to do with Recording Revolution whatsoever. That was just his launch into bigger waters where he can now make a ton more money. So now all of that is sort of swirling around. Chris Leap, I believe is the guy's name. And he does a lot of those raw track reactions because he had access to the same tracks that I did. People were sending him the same tracks they were sending me. And he's a vocal coach, so he was kind of using it for that reason, the same way that I was kind of using it for my reasons. I was showing the mixing side of things and production side of things, and he was showing the vocal coach side of things. So if you're interested in those, go over there and check those out. Chris is a great guy. He's also a fellow ProMix Academy mentor alongside of me and a host of others. He's a great guy. He means well. And I got nothing but good to say about him. I think he's trying to do the right thing. And maybe he's okay with that. He's also a Christian. And so I feel like maybe that's not a personal conviction for him. That's something he feels like he's okay with that. That's fine. It's just for me personally, I've got to stay true to my core values, and I cannot get on here day in and day out and be something that I'm not. That would just be being a lie. Get to the other question, he says. Wow, that was nice. Okay, can you please do a video of how to use the Akai 20? If I had an Akai 20, I would, but I don't. In fact, I have the machine, the massive touchpad thing, and I haven't done a review on it even yet because I can't wrap my head around it, to be honest. I'm so used to a physical instrument in my hands, feeling it, whenever I strum it, getting some kind of reciprocated feeling back from it, and having that instant gratification of knowing that I've just strummed a chord and I hear the chord rather than going through a bunch of patches and touching pads. And I don't necessarily get it, I guess, because I'm not an electronic musician, or I don't use a lot of MIDI instruments. So and the Akai may actually be a keyboard, come to think of it. Actually, let me just look that up. Either way, I don't have it, so that's why I've not done it. Okay, so yeah, that looks like the touchpad doogee floppy thingy. I would like to do a review on the one that I have, to be honest, but I just don't. I got it in the mail for review, and I haven't been able to even wrap my head around it, like I said. So, One of these days when I have some time, I will definitely get to tinkering with it, but we shall see. Okay, let's see here. What else we got? Sneed or Chucks? Not sure what you mean by that, but if you're talking about shoes, Chuck Taylor's all the way. The gaming zone. This is the individual who's very impatient to get this answered right now. He wants it now. The gain button in the mixer. Do you use that for gain staging first, then the faders? Okay. The gain button. Do you use it for gain staging? It depends. It's personal preference. It's on how you want to do it. But I've done an entire video on this, by the way, about the signal flow within Cakewalk. And I'm trying my best not to be snarky now, right? Signal flow in Cakewalk goes from top to bottom. So this would be your first area of attack. So if you're going to gain stage using these, that's fine. That would be just like if you were on a mixing board of some kind, you would do that. And then from here, it flows down into the Pro channel, into the effects bin, through your sends, and into the fader. Depending on how you set this, pre-send or post or pre-fader is going to affect how it affects your sends. But then from there, it goes into your in and outs, and that's pretty much it. So yes, you can use the gain stage here to gain stage it, or you can simply just use your plugins, or you can simply use your faders. It's really up to you. I typically use my faders first and try not to touch the gain unless it's like the last ditch attempt to try to get something. So like, let's say for instance, I get a client that sends back a mix. I have painstakingly moved those faders to where they need to be. I've even got automation on those faders so that I can't really tweak them. If they say I want, my vocal to be up 1 to 2 dBs, which sounds crazy, but people actually ask that. I want my vocal to be up 1 or 2 dBs. So if I've done vocal automation on that channel, and there's all kinds of automation lanes that's already on there, and they're just, that's done set. I've got it sounding perfect. Then if they want it 1 or 2 dBs louder, I can just come up to that gain up here at the top and go, okay, I'll turn the gain up by 2 dBs, and that will trickle down into my automation. So I use it as a last defense sort of mechanism. I don't know why I keep using defense mechanism. I guess that's the best word I can come up with there. Jonathan Hamlin, I apologize if I missed your question. The gaming zone, man, his question was like, it was on fire. Like he needed that now. I'm pretty sure like lives were depending on this. So I had to make sure that I got it to him. I jest. Where did my mouse go? Anybody know? Anybody know where my mouse went? It's weird. It's not showing up on my screen. Okay. But with that being said, we got that question answered. Okay. Let's come back down here. I've lost control of my mouse now. I have no mouse. At least if I do, it's not up on the screen. That's weird. Yep, it's gone. Okay. Anywho. I see where you made a comment, but I don't see the question. Ah, here we go. Sorry. I got lost in the weeds there. And now I'm clicking on stuff. I don't even know what I'm clicking on because I can't see what I'm clicking. Click. Okay, so if you could do only one of the following for the rest of your life, which would you do? Produce music in studio, mix live events, or perform? Ooh. I would say music in the studio. Produce music in the studio. And the reason why I say that is because as much as I am extroverted in large crowds of people, I have the tendency to be more introverted. Which is why a medium like this is a lot better for me, because I can't see your faces. And I know I'm talking to somebody, but there's no like awkward silence that might be if real people were here, or I'm not going to be able to like see a way that you just like, if I answer a question and you have a weird look on your face, I'm not going to overanalyze that for the rest of the year and think, what did I say that made them so mad? When in actuality, you might have just had gas. So with that being said, I think I would rather just mix in a studio, because I can be by myself doing what I love. And yeah, I think that's, yeah. Performing would be one thing, but I'm never good with my performances. I'm never happy with them. So I should say I would always be critiquing my own performances. So, and I still have yet to get my mouse back. This is crazy. All right, all of you IT wizards, if your mouse disappears on your screen, but you still see areas that it's moving, what do you do? It's weird, because I can still see where it's like it's trying to do stuff. Let me see if I can. Nope, that didn't do it either. Sorry, I'm going to answer this. It's has to do with the rehabilitation program I'm running. Okay. With that being said, I think we answered that question properly. I need to do a quick Google search here and see how I can get my mouse back on the screen. Get a bigger cat. Oh, Control Tab. Let's see if that does it. Nope. Not seeing it. Whoa. Oh, that did it. Alt Tab. Hey, I got it back. Okay, cool. Well, thank you. Who said that? Micah, for the win. All right, so let's see here. Okay, I recently did. Welcome, sup. Okay, so this one was already answered. I don't want to go back to it because evidently it got people riled up that I was talking about that one. So, Acapella of Butterflies was this channel. Oh, there was two comments. No, such a shame. My only hope for a clean acapella of Butterflies was this channel. Okay. Jonathan Hamlet says, I'm playing a bunch of secular songs at a bar Saturday night. Not my preferred venue or genre. Sometimes you got to do what you got to do. When it comes to Christian liberty, there are some areas where God calls us into different walks with him, deeper walks, or he calls us to different convictions than he might call someone else. That's why it's called a personal salvation. It's kind of what Paul wrote about when he said, one man esteemeth meats above another, one man esteemeth one day above another, but some esteem every day. But he said, if any of these things that we do is going to cause another to stumble in the faith, he said, then I would rather that I not do it at all. So, all right, here's a good one. In Cakewalk, do buses have automation lanes like tracks do? Yes, they sure do. A little bit harder to see, a little bit harder to get to, but yes. Interesting. Too many recording YouTubers. It's hard to know which to trust. That's true. You can always trust Produce Like a Pro. Guy's been doing it for years. And he's pulling out all the stops, not holding anything back. I would definitely trust anything he has to say. Warren Hewitt has been a blessing to the audio community. He really has. The Gaming Zone says I'm talking too long on one topic. Okay, anyway, tips on taming the high end in a mix. So there's a lot of ways that you can tackle this. The first of which obviously would be using your low pass filters. Those are going to get you to a point where you can tame some high end, but there might be a situation where maybe you're doing it on your mix bus and you're like, I don't want to tame all of the high end. I just want to tame some of the high end. So if it's in the context of an entire mix, I would go back to your high end instruments, those instruments that contain maybe violin, cello, flute, or not cello, violin, flute, sometimes the keys or synthesizers a lot of times will have a lot of high-end shrill stuff going on, and just simply tame it back with a low-pass filter. Remember, too, that every instrument's high-end does not have to be heard in order to be felt. What I mean by that is with automation, you can bring that high-end back or take it away whenever it's needed. Another thing is to probably the best thing that you can do that's going to help you out is to bring in some reference tracks. Listen to the high end on the reference tracks. Pull up your equalizer plugin that actually shows you like a physical, like a plot, a graphic equalizer. Look at that graphic and see where the high end is on this song versus the high end on your song. And then try to find out, okay, where can I mitigate this? Where can I take care of this high end? Great question, though. Another thing is, like with drum overheads, the cymbal clashes are like crazy all the time. High end all over the place. And with that being said, using some tape saturation a lot of times will tame high end and also give you a little bit of glue on some things. So if you have synths, if you have even vocals, like if you have soprano vocals in the background with just a little bit too much high end, but you don't want to destroy the practicality of it all, you can actually use tape saturation, and that will, or not tape saturation, but tape emulation, or and saturation. I like to use Cakewalk's just built-in tape emulator. It does a great job of taming without overdoing things. So do. I think we got to this. Yes, we did. Okay, so Hard On Fishing says, I know how to freehand automation on a bus, but not on a lane. Interesting. And I'm assuming you're, excuse me, And I'm assuming you're using Cakewalk. If you are, it's cool that I get to call it just Cakewalk again instead of Cakewalk by BandLab. I mean, it's still by BandLab, but it's not Cakewalk by BandLab. It's going to, and honestly, I don't even know what's going on anymore. They left me out of the loop a long time ago. So, I got on the forum the other day and was kind of poking around, seeing if I could find out anything in there. Yeah, it's turned into a little click. So let them do what they're doing. I'm just going to use it as a tool like I always have. I got to keep pausing this. Anyway, what I was going to get at was, so the automation on a take lane is, I don't think that's possible. Automation on a track is right here, and you can draw it in, do whatever you got to do. There's actually different tools in which you can draw it in. If you press and hold, you got your freehand, pattern, line, sign, triangle, random. So that's pretty cool. But then on the bus, it's a little bit similar. So let's say I wanted a automation on this. There it is. Same little button. Actually, if I can zoom in on that and it'll actually pick it up, I don't know. Yeah, it's this little button right here. As of right now, Cakewalk is still free. I don't know, like I said, I don't know what they're doing. I've reached out to a couple different people and they've ghosted me. I'm just like, well, whatever. I guess all of the years of tutorials that I've done are just null and void to you guys, but whatever. I'm just going to continue being myself. So there's that. Yeah, but hopefully that helps. All right, let's move back on to the questions. I don't know why that opened up. Hackers everywhere. Okay. Let's see. When is the next listen together and the deadline? I missed the last one. So typically speaking, at the beginning of the month is when the submissions start over again. At the end, the last week of that month is when the listen together will be. That gives everybody pretty much 3 weeks to get something together to put in there. And I have not even picked a winner yet for the last one because I've been crazy busy. So as soon as I do that, we'll have the follow-up video like we have been doing. So yes, and let's see. Has anyone forgiven Waves yet? Nope. Oh, here's a good question. This is kind of a tricky one. How do you feel about what's showing up here? This is crazy looking. There we go. How do you feel about AI mastering tools? So they've got their pros and they've got their cons. Honestly, I think as a society, we're afraid. I almost said we're scared. We're afraid of AI because of the implications thereof. We think, this is going to replace people. It's going to get to a point where, people are no longer going to be needed. Honestly, I don't see that happening. At least from my standpoint, what I feel like, if anything's going to happen, it's going to be more of people are always going to be needed. I mean, an AI can do a great nuts and bolts job, but it cannot do things based off of emotion. And music, like 9 times out of 10, what makes you like a song is the emotion that it gives you from that song. And a lot of that has to be done by a person. Now, if AI starts to learn how to emulate emotion, that's when we get kind of on the crazy side of things. However, for people who don't have access, don't know how to master a song, but they still want their song to sound like it's at a good level whenever it comes into, like if a playlist or something like that, they want to make sure that it jives well with a playlist, then that would be a great tool for them to use. And there's some great ones out there. In fact, BandLab actually has a pretty good algorithm for mastering, the BandLab mastering suite. There's others out there that do it, but what I would say is, it's going to be a case of, if you have the money, I would pay a mastering engineer, not just because I make money doing that, which nowadays I don't, because I'm turning jobs down like crazy. But what I would say is, instead of having an AI do it, if you have the money to pay someone, I would definitely go for that, because you're going to have the human factor added in. And you can come back and say, hey, I noticed this about it. Can you change this? If you go through an AI, they're going to run it once and you're done. That's it. That's all you get. You can run it back maybe with a different algorithm, but worst case scenario, you're going to probably end up with the same thing. So I would not be too worried about it. Personally, the way that I feel about it is, it's just another tool. It's a way to get something done faster. And if you don't have the knowledge or the money to pay someone, or someone who can even do it for free, then I would definitely, don't knock it till you try it. Okay. What's the best way to tame high-end sharpness on an electric guitar? So one of the best things that you can do for that is actually, I guess it would be, there's a lot of things depending upon that. So what amplifier are you running through? Are you running through an amplifier at all? If you're running through an amplifier, you turn your treble down. If you're running through a pedal, you find whatever pedal that's causing that high-end harshness, and you just turn it down a little bit. Another thing that you can do is institute some form of overdrive or tube saturation, because tube saturation is always going to make high-end sound a lot more pleasant if done properly. Great question, though. But oh, this thing keeps jumping around on me. I just get ready to click on something and there it jumps. I am not a cat has a question. I'm just getting into DAW recording on a Mac, and I thought I would start with Bandcamp and then move to something more complicated. What would you recommend? I was told to check out Reaper. I have a lot of individuals here in the chat that like Studio One. I have a lot of individuals that actually prefer Reaper. I haven't used either one, so I would kind of be the wrong guy to ask. I do know that eventually Cakewalk is going to be available on Mac. That is what they're really shooting for. That's why I think it's taken them so long to roll this out. They want to make sure that they do it right and that you don't have a bunch of hangups. But what I would say is all DAWs essentially do the same thing. So just find a DAW that works for you, one that you know your way around, and stick with it instead of hopping around to different DAWs, because then you're going to put yourself behind farther. It's going to kill your creativity, because then you're going to be stuck in the weeds of, trying to get more technical rather than creative. So that's how I would that would be my best answer on that. All right. Well, it looks like someone else kind of answered the same way. Yes, the song contest, those happen every single week, or every single month, sorry. I did not, Crackly. I'm going to have to go and check that out now. Thank you for cluing me in on that. I like that answer. Definitely. Okay. Trying to make sure I'm not missing any more questions here. Okay, so I just answered that one. Yes, every single month. Ooh, so this was in reference to what Crackley just said a minute ago. So we did have sort of a challenge here in the what is now the free VIP membership. It's not even a membership now. It's just a club, I guess. The free VIP club over on Facebook. I sort of made a just offhanded challenge and said, hey, if you guys want to start like a loop type thing where someone lays down something and then someone else kind of picks it up and someone else picks it up and see what it turns into. I guess they're doing that. So that's cool. Yes. Always. Okay. So actually I'm going to let me head on over there. See what that looks like. Because this, if I know my peeps well enough, this is going to probably be pretty cool. These guys rock up in here. Okay, so now where's the groups? All right. So here's the VIP group. And let's see. Yeah, there's a chat going on in there too about Dolby Atmos, if you'd like to get in on that. I don't see anything in here about Dolby Atmos general chat. Yeah, I don't see anything in here about a song that you guys are doing together, though. Open for collab. See, and this is why I was kind of like, not too keen on going back to Facebook, because now stuff is getting lost. Okay. Actually, it's kind of cool, though. I did find some questions in here. What's the easiest way to split a stereo track into two separate mono tracks in Cakewalk? That would just be the use of aux tracks. Create two aux sends, send the left side to one, the right side to the other, and then record the tracks, and there you go. Mm-hmm. Okay. Is there a way to get any of the old stock plugins that used to come with Cakewalk? I missed the old compressor and reverb options. I believe they are bringing those back. And if not, you can always open up the old Cakewalk Command Center. Remember this thing? This is what we used to use for years right here. Oh, he's talking about Discord. No wonder. I'm just now catching that. So if you go back to your old Cakewalk Command Center, you can actually see there's an option here still to download all the stuff you used to have, including Sonar Platinum and all of the classic Creative FX suites. If you don't have access to this, let me know. Email me, robert@homestudiosimplified.com, and I'll see if I can get you the download links. When would saturation be used and when is equalization used? I noticed in a live mixing session that saturation was used quite a bit. Saturation is used to bring anything to the front that you want some harmonics involved, but you don't want it to be completely destroyed if you spend a lot of time shaping the sound of it. So it helps to just bring it to the front, adds harmonics to it. So, you know, anytime you want it to, something to shine, or you want to round off the edges of something. I use it a lot with bass guitar too. All right, so I'm supposed to be going over to Discord, but I think I'm running out of time. So we probably won't be doing that. But if you haven't checked out the Discord, go and check that out. Does time change from day to day? To explain why some days go fast and others drag on forever. Actually, this can be explained very simply by the radiation attenuation that's normally provided by a 4.2 centimeter layer of monocrystal beryllium silicate infused with semi-ferrous polycarbonate cores. That in turn causes an introverse magnetic wave spectrum to run to a reversed polar pattern. So then therefore what you get is a capitulating time shift differentiation from some kind of, usually it's a process of from point A to point B, you have energy equals mass squared times the value of time itself. And then if you travel at the speed of light, that's usually why, the time happens to go faster and slower on some days than others. Now, the one thing that I didn't add in there is the fact that when you get your Canuter valve and you turn it to the right by 3 degrees, usually that causes the 𝗍𝗃𝗃 to fault out. So you want to make sure that you check that first. So hopefully that helped. All right, guys. Well, we're getting ready. We're getting ready to wrap up today's session, but before we do, let's spin the wheel of awesomeness. That's right. It's your host, 𝗧𝗵𝗲 𝗧𝗵𝗃. I'm hijacking the microphone to take over to spin the wheel of awesomeness. Let's spin it, Robert. Wow, that was pretty abrupt, Casey. I think next time you need to give us a minute, No. Okay, well, don't. I mean, wow. Okay, so we have a song feature. These are fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to pull up the old Streamlabs here real quick. And I think a truck that just was missing a muffler drove by. So if you heard something that sounded like a gurgling bear that was choking on the bones of 1,000... I don't know where I'm going with that anymore. I better stop. Okay, so let's go over here, and we are going to giveaways. Song feature is going to start now. Your entry into the song feature category is simple. Press exclamation point, capital H, capital S, capital S. You see it on your screen now. It's telling you how to do it. And that will take place for the next 3 minutes. The winner will be chosen in 2 minutes and 40 seconds now. The winner will then get a free song feature here on the channel. This can be a song that you haven't entered into the typical song contest that we have every month, or maybe it's a song that you did enter into the song contest, but now you've remixed it, you've made it better, you've maybe re-recorded some parts, and you're going to resubmit it to show everybody your greatness. If that's the case, this is how you can do that. Looks like we got 4 potential winners right now. If you want to sign up and sign in and get it done, son. All right, we got DJ Big Red 81, Crackly Software, 𝗧𝗵𝗃 Joe, and Mark are all up in there. Anyone else that wants to get involved, you have 1 minute and 45 seconds. Casey, tell them what they're going to win if they win.
Well, it's quite simple, Robert. They're going to win a song feature on your channel. As if anyone's even going to want to watch your channel. I mean, most of the time, people just tune in to see you look like an idiot. You know what Why are you looking at me that way, Robert? Robert, that's my paycheck you're ripping up. Why did you rip my paycheck up? That's it. You know what? Just for that, I'm spinning the wheel again.
Why? I didn't say you could. This is why I'm ripping your paycheck up. I mean, come on.
Oh, it's a song feature.
You just rigged the wheel. You just rigged the wheel so it would land back in the same place. If you're going to spin it twice, spin it a third time. We've already got a song feature.
He made me do that. A tutorial video request.
All right. Well, tell them what they win if they
didn't win anything, Robert. They're just requesting a video from you. Do I have to explain what the wheel does every single time? I mean,
All right, so Casey Kasem has left the room. I apologize. I really like the guy, but some days, he just gets under your skin. You try to do what you do. Let's give some shout outs while we're waiting. Here's a big bunch of shout outs to Yamaha 506, Solid Nimbo, not sure what that is, Ron Woodley, Wary for Real, Tyler's okay, that, Mike B, Sound Lab International Prod, ... and Cooper Ford. Thank you so much for subscribing to the channel, for being a recent subscriber even. Appreciate that. Now let's go ahead and draw our winner and see who has won. Ladies and gentlemen, let me take this back to a different screen. There we go. Let's take it back to this screen. And let me get that off there. Okay, you can no longer enter, but let's see who won. Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, the winner of the song feature is none other than Mark L. I almost forgot where the button was there for the crowd cheer. I was trying to find it there. Okay, good deal. Well, congratulations, Mark L. You've just won a song feature. Just simply email me with an MP3 or WAV version of that song, and we will play it the next time that we go live for everyone to bask in its glory. Thank you all so much for showing up. And remember that we can dream alone. We can even create alone, but together we can achieve so much more. God bless each and every one of you. Until next time, keep it real. Keep it real cheesy. Bye-bye.